and welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and I am just getting over being uber sick, but I think I'm feeling better. I apologize in advance if I have any cough spells during this video. It's been really hard. I haven't done any videos in a few days. I have been releasing them, but most of them were pre-produced before I got sick. Only a couple of the update videos did I do while sick. So this is another roster review for one of my patrons. His name in the game is Voxel, and I want to give a shout out to TNR Mace Windex. What an awesome team he has got. Now we're going to go in and we're going to go through his entire roster and see where his strengths and where his weaknesses lie. He did say I could go ahead and make this public because it does help other people learn what characters in the game are worthy and which ones are not. So first, overall, I just look, you can see he has not been in the game playing very long at all. You can always tell that by how many battles that they've done. Basically, you can take the number which is 511. You can divide that. Most people do about 3 a day, which is the minimum to get their daily rewards, but can do up to 5 a day. But if you do the 3 a day or so, you're going to see that this is only 5 to 7 months worth of gameplay. So 5 to 7 months worth of playing. He's got not that many normal battles or hard battles won, which means he doesn't sim a whole lot, which means he's not spending money in the game. And his galactic battles are actually really high for how little he's simmed, which means that he's been grinding these galactic battles out for a long time. So the guild he's in actually is doing pretty good. I always look to see guild raids 1 versus the currency. The currency should be about 1,000 currency per guild raid 1, which equals about 64,000 is what he should have, and he's at 76, so he's in a good guild. His gear donated is, I would say, about average for an individual who's free to play, who gear never comes around very far. But I will tell you, this is a free to play success story for sure. If you look down, he is in arena rank 278, and while a lot of people say, how is that success? I want you to know that in every shard or every leaderboard, there is 20,000 players potentially that get dropped into there. Now, we know a percentage are going to decide to no longer play the game, but the top 1% on a shard or on a leaderboard is the top 200. So to get into the top 200, you're in the top 1%. So he is in the top 2% of his leaderboard, and that is definitely success. So that is great. Now we're going to go ahead and look at his arena team to the left. The first thing I notice is he's doing very well, but he has some characters who could be replaced. 3 of them that just come to mind naturally are Leia, Akbar, and it pains me to say those 2 names because I love those 2 characters, and Luminara. And so I have already have figured out what I think you should do for your team. If it was up to me, let's do everybody, and we'll do them by power at first. So for your arena team, I see in your top 2 rows, I see Boba Fett. Now, the reason why I would choose him as your leader, and I know that he's not super high up there for you, is because he provides additional damage, okay? All of your allies are going to get plus 50% critical damage, and that's excellent. So anybody that's following Boba is going to do a lot more damage. So if you want to cut through and get up into the top 100, a Boba Fett lead is definitely going to help you. Now, who I would put underneath him, you surprisingly do have Wedge 7-star and Biggs 7-star, and both of them are gear 8 and 9 respectively. That's excellent. So I would put Biggs and Wedge under them. Think about the amount of damage those 2 guys are going to do under a Boba lead. And they speed each other up because of Wedge's unique, where he gives them both additional speed. So definitely I would put Biggs and Wedge under there. And then I would also obviously have Stormtrooper Han. He's not only a tank, but he can give your entire team turn meter. Now, any mod you have that has secondary speed, I know you're free to play, so you've got to really make sure that anything that has a +3 or a +5 or a +8 speed goes to Stormtrooper Han, so he can go as fast as possible, giving all that extra turn meter to your team and allowing your heavy DPS or heavy damage per second characters to go first, such as your Boba Fett, Biggs, and Wedge. Now, your 5th slot can either go to Lando or Emperor Palpatine. Now, Lando is a little bit higher up on the gearing, so he may be a slight bit more durable. However, Emperor Palpatine is probably going to be a better choice for a couple of reasons. One, you already have a lot of high damage characters. Emperor Palpatine's going to give you that too, just like Lando. But the AoE that Lando provides, while that's nice, the stuns from Emperor Palpatine will be better. So I would recommend having Emperor Palpatine for that. Plus, in your top 200 and in most top 200s across all of the game, you're going to find a lot of Biggs, Wedge, Landos, Stormtrooper Hans, and Emperor Palpatine is the anti-rebel, right? So I would recommend you putting in probably Emperor Palpatine in that 5th slot. So a Boba lead, Wedge, Biggs, either Lando or Emperor Palpatine, and then Stormtrooper Han. And then I would go through all of your mods, finding any mod that has secondary speeds, get your highest secondary speed mods, put on Stormtrooper Han, even if they don't make sense with your set bonuses, even if they're all different mod types. But that's what I would do. So let's go ahead and move on pretty quickly. Let's go to the light side just to see what you have going on. Really strong rebels and some decent Jedi is what I first see in the first couple of rows. I see you also have Tebow that you're developing probably for raids. That's great. If we go to the next couple of rows, I do see Luke. I would probably abandon Luke for now. I wouldn't go any higher. Also, Clone Wars Chewbacca, you can probably pause on him for a little bit. Also, Chirrut is amazing, but unless you're planning on getting bays, I wouldn't put any more investment into Chirrut as a free-to-play, because by himself, he, especially at a 3-star, is not going to do you anything good in this. I do see some of your Jawas are just barely starting to be captured and developed, and that's good because you'll need them for the critical chance, but I wouldn't worry too much about them. The rest below, really the only thing I see that's kind of glaring that you very well might want to pick up is possibly at some point Poe Dameron. He is down there near the bottom. I would recommend you potentially think about his ship as well as him. His ship is exclusively only in the ship store, but he has got a very heavy-hitting ship, and he is a resistance character. You may have to eventually use him, and he's a tank, so that's good. But you don't have to worry too much about him right now. The other character I do not see in here at all is Ayla. So when I'm saying Ayla, let me go ahead and go to your Jedi, and I'll show you why. We're talking about getting Yoda now. So you already have 4 at gear 7 or above for Yoda, but you're going to have to get them to 7-star. I would finish off Jedi Knight Anakin, but the rest of them look pretty much undeveloped. The only 2 other than the bottom undeveloped are Ahsoka and Plo. Both have ships, and both would be great options to level up, gear up for ships and for a 7-star Yoda. But I would recommend over both of them Ayla Secura. She is a support character, but she really hits hard like an attacker. She can stun, and she is excellent as that 5th person to go in and get your 7-star Yoda. So let's go ahead and go back to dark side, because that was the next thing after light side we were going to look at. And your dark side looks wonderful. You've got Emperor Palpatine as a lead. You have Darth Vader, IG-88, Shore Trooper even. And your 3-star Shore Trooper, you are good with leveling him up for sure. He's very viable, especially tanks are very viable even at a lower star rate because of their durability. So they're much better than maybe a 3-star Chirrut. I also see, or think I see, your First Order TIE Pilot being developed, and that's exciting because First Order was just recently reworked. But First Order TIE Pilot's always been a good character, so keep on keeping on. I noticed that your Grand Moff Tarkin's low, but that's because Admiral Akbar's high, and we'll get to ships in a second. And at the bottom, the only characters down here that I see that are kind of basically being untouched that I would highly recommend that you decide to focus on and really focus on is your TIE Fighter pilot. He's easy to farm and he's relatively easy to gear up, at least to gear 7. And he is a very fun Empire character. And Sunfac, who I see you've been farming and you've got him up to 6 stars, just you have not geared him up or leveled him up. But Sunfac is and will be a phenomenal tank in this game for the long haul. So I would definitely do that. Since we spiderwebbed off a light side to Jedi, let's spiderweb off a dark side to Empire. I want to see your Empire and see how well your Empire team is. The reason why I ask is because Empire is going to be meta for a while. So Emperor Palpatine, excellent. Shore Trooper and Royal Guard, excellent. Darth Vader, excellent. The 5th slot for your team I would recommend, especially since you're free to play, is the TIE Fighter pilot. I've already suggested him. He'll take your 5th slot. I wouldn't worry about General Veers, Grand Moff Tarkin, Magma Trooper, Snow Trooper. They're lesser on the list of the Empire you have. And Director Krennic and Death Trooper are just not going to be very viable at 2 and 3 stars. And it looks like it's going to be some time before you'll be able to use them. Now, while we're here as well, you know Emperor Palpatine is 7 starred, so I do not have to go over your rebels. But I do want to glance at those and just tell you that I am pretty proud as a free-to-play that you focused on that so early on. That was wise. Your Admiral Akbar and Princess Leia are great characters, and they'll work great when you are doing the mod battles and whatnot, so you didn't waste your time on them. And Admiral Akbar is high enough that he makes a probably pretty good ship commander for your fleet ships, which you will go next to your fleet commander. Obviously is going to be your Admiral Akbar. And then as far as crew members, I see you've got Wedge and Biggs. I'm hoping you have their ship. I do wish they would let us see your ships in inventory. That would be pretty cool. And if you don't have Boba Fett's ship, you could farm for that as well. Jedi Consular's ship, I'm pretty sure you have. Keep going with that. The First Order TIE Pilot has a ship, and since you're developing him as a character, I would get his ship. It does hit very hard and can put down target lock, so that's excellent. Sunfac has a ship that stuns if they're buffed, and that happens all the time, so I did recommend you leveling up Sunfac, so continue there. And then TIE Fighter Pilot, I recommended you level up, and he has a pretty cool evasive ship that you can get pretty easily as well. Now, Poe at the bottom, again, is an optional farm for you since you have him unlocked. If you wanted to take him up, you could, but you don't have to. And remember, Ahsoka Tano and Plo Koon were also suggested as possible ship characters for you because they are already semi-developed in gear. So that looks really, really good. Let me see if there is anything else in here that we haven't covered. So as far as your scoundrels go, you've got Stormtrooper Han, Lando, Boba, and IG. Those 4 I would develop and continue to develop. You've been doing that, so excellent. I would not worry about any of the others. Your Clone Wars Chewbacca is definitely high enough that he can be a placeholder until you get your Han Solo unlocked through raids. And that's all I would do here. I wouldn't put Chewbacca any higher. I don't think there's a need. I think he's sufficiently tanky as a tank at this level to suffice for any of the events that you may need your scoundrels for. And it looks like, you know, as far as tanks, you've got Stormtrooper Han, Shore Trooper, Royal Guard. I mean, you've got 3 of the best tanks in the game. Sunfac's down there and could be developed. And you also have 5s unlocked at 3-star. Now, like I had said, you're free to play. This is going to make things a little bit more difficult for you, and it's going to take a lot more time to get leveled up. So my suggestion to you is to change your arena team to a Boba lead, Wedge, Biggs, Emperor Palpatine or Lando, but probably Emperor Palpatine and Stormtrooper Han, putting as many of your secondary speed mods on Han, put critical chance and critical damage on Biggs and Wedge. For Boba Fett, if you can just get him as beefy as possible to try and last in there as long as possible, you know, you can do critical chance and critical damage on him as well. But really, You have a lot of health mods, I noticed, and so what I would do is probably just get them beefy with your health mods, and then Emperor Palpatine. If you can get potency mods, and if not, do health mods with potency secondaries to try and get his potency up. Make sure he has a potency cross if you use Emperor Palpatine. As always, I hope this review is going to help you. I hope it helps you focus on who you should be focusing on and who you should kind of let go of. As always, have yourselves a wonderful afternoon. Keep your gaming on. Warrior, out.